Aleister Crowley opposed religion. He opposed Judaism. He opposed, most of all, Christianity with a hatred that was frightening. And he said, and I quote, "To me, every dirty act was simply a sacrament of sin, a passionately religious protest against Christianity, which was for me the symbol of all vileness, meanness, treachery, falsehood, and oppression," end quote. One of the most alarming things about Crowley's life was the way that he went from Freemasonry into the occult of the O.T.O, the Ordo Templi Orientis. Crowley tells, in his own words, how Freemason Theodore Reuss recruited him into the O.T.O. Quote, "Although I was admitted to the 33rd and last degree of Freemasonry so long ago as 1900, it was not until the summer of 1912 that my suspicion was confirmed. I speak of my belief that behind the frivolities and convivialities of our greatest institution lay in truth a secret, ineffable, and miraculous potency to control the forces of nature, and not only to make men brethren, but to make them divine. But at the time I speak of a man, Theodore Reuss, came to me, a man of those mysterious masters of esoteric Freemasonry, who are alike its eyes and its brains, and who exist in its midst unknown, often even to its acknowledged chiefs. This man had been watching my occult career for some years and deemed me now worthy to partake in the greater mysteries." Kenneth Grant, Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God, New York, New York, Samuel Weiser, 1974, page 174. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this certainly shows that members of other occult orders can work within Freemasonry and do, even though there are admitted to the public only 33 degrees. In my research, I have found degrees into the 90s behind what's called the veil in the Mithraic rite, and other degrees that go out laterally in other rites of the lodge. There are degrees within the Templar degree. There are degrees and degrees within degrees, and circles within circles, and secrets within secrets. The O.T.O was founded in 1895 by the Austrian Freemason Karl Kellner. Freemason Theodore Reuss became its leader after Kellner's death. Reuss started a magazine called the Oriflamme in 1902 with the help of Freemason Franz Hartmann. A 1912 Jubilee edition of the magazine revealed information about what the O.T.O activities really were. Quote, "Our order possesses the key which opens up all Masonic and Hermetic secrets, namely, the teaching of sexual magic, and this teaching explains, without exception, all the secrets of nature and the symbolism of Freemasonry and all systems of religion," end quote. In 1912, while holding the rank of 33rd degree Mason, Aleister Crowley became the head of the British O.T.O. The teachings and the practices of the O.T.O were amazingly disgusting. Here's a very brief description of their degrees. Listen carefully. Quote, "Today's literature about sex magic relies heavily on practices which were already common in the O.T.O, or in its later development by Aleister Crowley. The division is as follows. 8th degree O.T.O is autoerotic practice. 9th degree O.T.O is heteroerotic practice. The 11th degree O.T.O is homoerotic practice. This is the traditional sex magic practice as performed under Crowley. Frater Secrets of the German Sex Magicians, St. Paul, Minnesota, Llewellyn Publications, 1991, page 138. Also, 33rd degree Aleister Crowley proudly called his cult of the O.T.O. true Freemasonry. He said, "I claim for my system that it satisfies all possible requirements of true Freemasonry. It offers a rational basis for universal brotherhood and for universal religion," end quote. Now, how close is this connection between Freemasonry and the O.T.O.? Well, this is a Masonic historian, Francis King, reveals a closer connection than most Freemasons would ever dare to admit, and I am sure that they are cringing right now, knowing that I am going to reveal it. Here's what Masonic historian Francis King says, quote, "For the O.T.O. not only had, as we shall see, connections with spurious and clandestine Masonic groups, but functioned as a recruiting office for one of these, for in the classification of members by degrees appended to Ruys's document is clearly stated that, quote, candidates are made Freemasons by the directing members, fratres superiores of the O.T.O., end quote. Francis King, The Secret Rituals of the O.T.O., New York, New York, Samuel Weiser, 1973, page 13. The fact that Crowley was the head of the O.T.O. while holding the rank of 33rd degree Freemason should forever explode the myth that Freemasonry is a Christian organization. Crowley spoke openly and candidly about his Masonic honors. Quote, "This view was confirmed when the arcane schools of John Yarker came to me for review. I wrote to the author, who recognized my title to the 33rd degree and conferred on me the grades of 95 degree Memphis and the 90 degree Mizraim. It seemed as if I had somehow turned a tap. From this time on, I lived in a perfect shower of diplomas, from Bucharest to Salt Lake City. I possess more exalted titles than I have ever been able to count. I am supposed to know more secret signs, tokens, passwords, grand words, grips, and so on than I could actually learn in a dozen lives. An elephant would break down under the insignia I am entitled to wear." End quote. You will find that in John Simons and Kenneth Grant, The Confessions of Aleister Crowley, New York, New York, Bantam Books, 1971, on page 684. You see, folks, they cannot wiggle out from under ye accuse. In their own words, ye accuse. In the Confessions of Aleister Crowley, Crowley spoke with great admiration about the Royal Ark degree. Quote, "I supposed myself to have reached the summit of success when I restored the secret word of the Royal Ark. In this case, tradition had preserved the word almost intact," end quote. It is perfectly understandable that this hatred of Christianity, or this hater of Christianity, would love the Royal Ark degree of Freemasonry. You see, in this degree, Freemasons blaspheme the God of the Bible by uniting God's name with pagan gods. It would drive an Orthodox Jew right up the wall. The secret word of the Royal Ark that Crowley is referring to is Yah-Bulan. The Yah represents Jehovah, Bul represents the pagan god Baal, and On represents the Egyptian god of the sun. So it's no wonder Crowley's satanic heart jumped for joy when he was able to blaspheme the God of the Bible by uniting the true God of the Bible with the pagan god Baal, to whom human children were sacrificed. The Bible tells us, quote, "They have also built the high places of Baal, to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings to Baal, which I did not command or speak, nor did it come into my mind," end quote. The meaning, ladies and gentlemen, of the secret word in the Royal Arch degree is confirmed by an excellent authority. Can't get any better than this. It's the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Baal signifies Lord or Master and occurs several times in the Bible as a part of the names of various gods. Alone, the word applies to the sun god, the supreme male deity of the Syro-Phoenician nations. For an account of his worship, read 1 Kings chapter 18. With Yah and On, it has been introduced into the Royal Arch system as a representative of the Tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton. The O.T.O. describes itself as an organization that is dedicated to follow the doctrine of Crowley. The Ordo Templi Orientis, or O.T.O., is an initiatic body, I should say, composed of men and women who have accepted the principles of the Book of the Law, which was transmitted, he claims, through Aleister Crowley by some spirit master. Quote, "The book is conceived to be a perfect transmission of the divine, freed from any defects of human interference. As such, it is a luminous vehicle of truth that can serve as an infallible guide to human conduct. Aleister Crowley will at least be remembered as the greatest occult genius of the 20th century. His influence on modern occultism is incalculable, penetrating every Western school." Hymenaeus, editor, Aleister Crowley, the Master Therion, the Equinox Publishing Company, 1990, Volume 3, number 10:87. Any organization, ladies and gentlemen, that follows the teachings of Crowley must be taken very seriously. Listen to me. You have a habit of dismissing these things as not being important and not worthy of the study of intelligent, reasonable men and women. You're wrong. The following quotes are from the Book of the Law that the O.T.O. endorsed as a perfect transmission of the divine and luminous vehicle of truth that can serve as an infallible guide to human conduct. Quote, "Worship with me with fire and blood. Worship me with swords and with spears. Let the women be girt with a sword before me. Let blood flow to my name. Trample down the heathen. Be upon them, O warrior. I will give you petrovanal of their flesh to eat. Sacrifice cattle, little and big, after a child. The best blood is of the moon monthly. Then the fresh blood of a child are dropping from the host of heaven, then of enemies, then of priests, are of the worshippers. Last of some beast, no matter what. With my hawk's head, I peck at the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross. There is no law beyond, do what thou wilt." The Equinox, Volume 3, number 10:39, pages 40, 42, and 43. The following quotes from Crowley's Magic in Theory and Practice will further prove what should be our concern. Quote, "For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. But the bloody sacrifice, though more dangerous, is more efficacious, and for nearly all purposes, human sacrifice is the best. In the sacrifice during invocation, however, it may be said without fear of contradiction that the death of the victim should coincide with the supreme invocation." Aleister Crowley, Magic in Theory and Practice, New York, New York, Magical Child Publishing, Incorporated, 1990, pages 95 and 96. Notice the name of the publishing company, Magical Child, spelled M-A-G-I-C-K-A-L and C-H-I-L-D-E. Now, as we continue to look at Freemasonry and the occult, we need to look at another secret order that has networked with Freemasonry for many years, the Rosicrucian Society, or the ancient order of Rosicruci. Much could be written about the various Rosicrucian orders and their relationship to the Lodge, but for the purpose of our examination tonight, we're just going to mention only one, the Rosicruciana in Anglia. One had to be at least a master mason just to belong to this organization. And it is of particular interest because the members of this secret order gave birth to yet another secret society called, and you've heard about this secret society from me on many previous broadcasts, the Golden Dawn. In some respects, Westcott's Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was a byproduct of his connection with a Masonic Rosicrucian fraternity called the Rosicrucian Society of England, also known as the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, or more familiarly as the Society of the Rose, R, capital S-O-C, period, capital R-O-S, period, and if you see that after anyone's signature, they are a member. Membership was and is confined to Master Masons. It was not a Masonic lodge, but an esoteric society made up solely and strictly of Freemasons who were interested in occultism, the Kabbalah in particular, and Masonic symbolism. All three of the original founders of the Golden Dawn were Freemasons: Dr. William Wynne Westcott, Dr. William Woodman, and S.L. McGregor Mathers. And as we shall see, ladies and gentlemen, the ties between the Golden Dawn and the Masonic Lodge go much deeper than the fact that all were Freemasons, although that's enough. Dr. William Wynne Westcott's interests were occultism and Freemasonry. In order to practice ritual magic, he established an occult secret society called the Golden Dawn in London in 1888. Since its founding, it has been one of the most secretive and influential of all occult orders. Madame Blavatsky was so excited about the existence of the Golden Dawn that she made an intriguing announcement calling the order the Hermetic Students of the G.D. in the Outer. In the June 1889 issue of her theosophical periodical Lucifer, world-renowned witches Janet and Stuart Farrar, and I'm not calling them witches to be mean, they were self-confessed witches. Janet and Stuart Farrar, authors of A Witch's Bible Complete, give credit to the Freemasons of the Golden Dawn for the modern cult explosion that we are experiencing today. Here's what they say, quote, "It is generally agreed that the biggest single influence in the modern expansion of ritual magic and the occult explosion in general in the Western world was the Golden Dawn. This magical fraternity, founded by Freemasons at the end of the 19th century, developed a complex ritual system with 10 degrees of initiation relating to the Kabbalistic Sephiroth, or Sephiroth, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. Janet Farrar and Stuart Farrar, The Life and Times of a Modern Witch, Custer, Washington, Phoenix Publishing Company, 1988, page 121. And as we continue our examination, we will see that these witches were extremely correct, ladies and gentlemen. They were extremely correct with all of those statements. Dr. William Robert Woodman an eminent Freemason, was also one of the original founders that worked very hard to establish the Golden Dawn. He was a member of the Society of the Rose, Anglia. He also was a Hebrew scholar, and he was a student of the Kabbalah, and also wrote many occult manuscripts. All of this is reemerging today, and you'll find in Los Angeles, California, one of the greatest reemergences and followings of Kabbalistic study that you'd ever dreamed could possibly happen. William Wynne Westcott was a London coroner who was forced to choose between his job and the Golden Dawn when the public became aware of his occult activities. Westcott chose to resign as head of the Golden Dawn, at least visibly in the public eye. Westcott translated the Sefer Yetzirah, a Kabbalistic text, and also wrote a book titled The Magical Mason. This Golden Dawn founder belonged to a truly impressive list of occult organizations, which gives us at least an idea of how these occult organizations network. And boy, do they network. Westcott, an English Freemason, appointed Junior Grand Deacon to the Grand Lodge of England in 1902 and the head of the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia and Golden Dawn, was also the secretary of the Rite of Swedenborg, Knight Kadash in ancient and accepted Scottish rites, Grand Standard Bearer, Royal Ark, Grand Lodge of England, and Regent of the Illuminati, and was on intimate terms with one of its founders, the German Theodor Reuss, 33rd, 90th, and 96th degrees. Westcott also worked closely with Theodor Reuss, the head of the O.T.O. Since their early existence, ladies and gentlemen, the O.T.O. and the Golden Dawn have maintained very close ties. The father of modern Satanism, Aleister Crowley, was a member, you see, of both organizations. We will continue this. In the meantime, study what you've just heard. I hope that you took notes. Good night, folks. God bless each and every single one of you.